a lot of studies about this. Doing things for others, sacrificing yourself for others, has a positive impact on your body, not only on your spirit. And this is the relationship of our physical self and our spiritual self. And if you don't believe me, well, just looking at these pictures, what do you feel? People helping out other people. Does it make you emotional? Does it make you happy? Does it make you want to do more? That in itself is the proof that you in yourself has a spirit. You in yourself has a body. When we live for the sake of others, we will experience inner joy and happiness that cannot be compared to anything. And this is the problem. It is only when we live for the sake of others that we can experience these things. Our younger generation actually craves this eternal happiness, this inner joy and happiness. But they don't know how to get it. They don't know that living for the sake of others is the way for happiness. That's why some troubled teens will turn into alcohol. Some troubled teens will turn into drugs. But once we understand that living for the sake of others is the key, we will experience happiness that cannot be compared to smoking, drinking, especially cannot be compared to drugs. Let me repeat. When we live for the sake of others, we will experience inner joy and happiness that is infinitely incomparable to anything that we have experienced or will experience. We don't need to take drugs, we don't need to take alcohol. What we need is live for the sake of others. But what communism gives, or what communism tells us, that we don't really have this physical self. We don't really have this, we don't really have this spiritual self. Wala tayong spirito, hindi yun totoo. So that means this spiritual elements and vitality elements actually is not real, according to communists. And this is a very dangerous teaching. Because if we don't understand this, we will not live for the sake of others. We will not help out others. We will not sacrifice. We will not help our siblings. We will not help our children. But furthermore, it kills our spirit. It kills our spiritual self. This is why many of the people, especially young people, are actually committing suicide. It is the death of their spiritual self. This is very serious. It is a national catastrophe in Japan and in Korea. And it has nothing to do with economic placements. Mahirap ka man, mayaman ka man, pwede ito mangyari. So it's a very dangerous idea kung ano man ito sinasabi ng communism, na wala tayong spirit. Because it is the death of the spiritual self. It is the death, let me repeat, of the spiritual self. Communism kills the spirit of man. So that's why it is very dangerous. Communism itself destroys family and religion. It aims to destroy families and religion. Just in the USSR, they outlawed religion. And it promotes hatred. This is very serious. When two of these things become a state law, it's very dangerous. Because it will in turn cause spiritual death. So why am I, or why are we very serious about this spiritual death? Well, it's because spiritual death is a real death, is the real death. The physical death is just a natural process of transformation, much like a larva turning into a butterfly. But this spiritual death is the real death. Remember, we are a spirit with a body. In the Bible, Matthew 10:28 talks about this. He said, "And do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul." Do not fear. Rather, fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Spiritual death is real death. Once we die spiritually, it is forever. But communism not only promotes this spiritual death, but it also promotes this physical death. According to Lee Figaro, a French magazine, communism has brought about 150 million physical deaths, but billion more in spiritual death. It's currently rising more and more and more, since the world still has communist nations like North Korea. This is very alarming. The spiritual death of millions is at stake. So in the name of God and in the name of humanity, communism must be stopped. Sa ngalan ng Panginoon, sa ngalan ng pagkatao, kailangan na natin sugpuin ang komunismo. Samahan niyo po ako. At maraming salamat. Thank you so much.
Ayan, thank you very much, Mr. Jude Cedric Montefor, for this great presentation enlightening us of the idea of the materialistic view of man. So, ayan, oo, sunod-sunod ngayon po ang pagkakaroon po natin ng internet error because of heavy rain at this afternoon. So, please bear with us, no? So, pagpasensyahan nyo na at talagang ito talaga yung nangyayari dahil nasa virtual world po tayo. So, in the presentation that we've heard earlier, we have seen and learned that man is both a physical and spiritual in nature. In addition, we have learned how selfishness have led men through the materialistic point of view to love things and use people instead of loving people and using the materials to help them. No, so out of greed and selfishness, we have seen how the communist materialism destroyed the human society, teaching to put first the human interest and the expense of the wellness of the goodness of others. Ayan, so again, thank you so much again for Mr. Jude Cedric Montefor, and I hope ang ating mga participants ay naliwanagan regarding po at nagkaroon pa po ng mas additional thoughts and ideas regarding po on how to counter the communism to materialistic view of men. So at this moment, I would like to call on to boost up the energy of our participants. I would like to call on my partner moderator, our game master from the National Youth Commission, for the icebreaker, Mr. RJ Javier.
Ayan. So, thank you, Sir Boy Vin. Welcome back to the second set of our Guess the Gibberish game. So, same mechanics pa rin po tayo. So, this is the chance para makabawi yung mga hindi napili kanina, no, sa ating ruleta, and most especially para makabawi rin yung mga medyo late nakakasagot. no, kanina sa ating first set of game. So, ready na ba tayo? Heart react naman kung ready na tayo. Okay. Heart react, okay. So, I guess ready na ang lahat, no? So, for the second set of our gibberish game, we have first gibberish words. Okay. Okay. So, we have Hu O Mio Ni Ziom. Ziom, ganun. Okay. Pwede natin paulit-ulitin yan sa ating utak o kaya ilakas natin para mas ayan na, marami nang nakakasagot ng tama. Ayan, ayan. Let's see kung tama nga ang sagot natin. So, the answer is communism. Ayan. So, first 5 dito sa ating chat box, sa ating Zoom, at yung first 3 sa ating FB Live. Yung mga viewers natin sa ating FB Live. Ayan. So, next gibberish words. Okay. We have more exist ek uno mek piore. Ayan. So, hula-hula na tayo, guys. Again, it's more exist ek uno mek piore. Parang wala pa atang sumasagot, no? Ayan, meron ako nakitang isa. Alright. Pwede tayo manghula, guys. Ayan. Tuloy-tuloy natin. I guess marami rin sumasagot sa ating FB Live ngayon, no? Mga viewers natin sa ating private group. Ayan. So, tingnan natin kung tama yung sagot natin, no? The answer is Marxist economic theory. Okay. So, may mga nakatama naman, no? Ayan. So, para sa ating last gibberish words, we have ayan. Number 6, Yoni Beer Zual Prince Apples of Peas. Oh. Ito parang medyo madali-dali siya. Again, it's Yoni Beer Dual Prince Apples of Peas. Ayan, ayan, ayan. Ayan, maraming sumasagot. Ayan. So, let's see kung tama ang ating mga sagot. Okay, the answer is Universal Principles of Peace. Kaya maraming nakatama. Marami akong nakita mga tamang sagot. So again, i-collect po na ating mga secretariat, no, yung ating first 5 dito sa ating Zoom at first 3 sa ating FB Live. Ayan. So sana nag-enjoy kayo sa ating game. Mamaya-maya we will be having our last batch of winners later on sa ating ruleta. So again ngayon, let's go back to our Q&A sa ating session. So back to you, partner, Sir Boy Vin. Thank you.
Ayan. I guess I'm back. Hello? Ayan. So I guess I'm really having some trouble with my internet connection. So again, let us proceed. Again, thank you so much, Sir RJ Javier, for uplifting again the energy of our participants. Yes. Am I audible?
Yes.
Ayan, I guess. Yes, thank you so much, sir. Ayan, so unfortunately, I'm really having some trouble with my internet. So again, thank you so much, Sir RJ Javier, for uplifting again or for boosting the energy of our participants right at this moment. So I guess mga ready na sila for sa kanilang mga prizes ano. So ayan, ang ating mga prizes is ibibigay sa inyo door to door. Ayan, so maso-surprise na lang po kayo. Bigla-bigla na lang may kakatok sa inyong mga pintuan and meron kayong regalo from the IAYSP and the National Youth Commission. Yan. So, of course, yan yung perks ng pagiging active po natin dito sa ating webinar event. So at this moment, let us proceed to our question and answer portion. But at this portion, you will be given a 10 minutes allotted time. So we will do our best, not maybe all of your questions, but as many as we can possibly can. So please bear with us. No, so okay, let us proceed to our first question. Our first question is, what is the boundary of selfishness and selflessness in the context of patriotism? For example, some Filipinos may show their patriotism through being active on voicing not human rights and the needs of other people to change the society by voicing by the weak. We have learned that if we're remaining silent, things won't change. And Filipinos are known for the people powering during Marcos' time. And even the actions of Andres Bonifacio shows the heart of voicing out the rights of the people. So, Sir Jude, Cedric Montefor, please do the honor of answering the question.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, sir,
Hello?
you're audible.
Yes, that's a very good question actually. It kind of plays on the what is morality, what is selfishness, what is selflessness in terms of patriotism. I would like to go back to the our introductory lecture by Dr. Kittle. Actually, when we look at communists or people who really want change in the world, we can see that they are very vocal. They really want peace. Actually, we even go to a point that we can say that communists or communist people actually are good people. They all want equality. They all want social change. But like what is said in the Bible, it depends upon the action of what they are doing, diba? So when we look at history, our heroes, they actually sacrificed their life for our freedom. They were when we look at the life of like Andres Bonifacio, they really fought for the weak people. But what we can see in the communist system or what communism fights for is they preach out good things. They preach out equality, but their actions isn't really aligned with what they are saying. Example is in the Soviet Union. Before they were preaching liberation of the working class, liberation of the peasantries. But when they come into power, well, the peasantries were the ones who were really ravaged. They even turned into eating each other, to cannibalism. So, pupunta lang yan sa action. It is action, di ba? We all have good motivations, I guess. Bakit? Pero, nagkakatalo tayo kung selfish ka ba o hindi by your actions. If you are willing to kill your own brothers and sisters for the sake of a better nation, then are you a patriot? Diba? But if you are willing to sacrifice yourself for your brothers and sisters for a better nation, are you a patriot? So that is the main difference. Can you offer yourself or will you offer others for your ideal? So for me, that is like the difference between selflessness and selfishness in terms of patriotism. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Jude, Cedric Montefor. So we have another questions. After these questions, I will let other speakers add to add more inputs regarding to these two questions. So the questions runs this way. If, for example, I believe in the principle of communism, that is in regards of to its ideals and changing the system. And that, for example, I also don't believe in God. While at the same time, I also condemned the idea of an armed revolution in liberating our country. Where does my principle lies then? As my patriotism cannot or can be justified? So that question from Gregorio Sullivan.
That okay. I'll answer now. That is a very good question, and I've encountered a similar person when I started giving lectures of victory over communism. Actually, itong lalaki na to or this student uh, went into communism. He nearly went to the mountains. Mag-NPA na siya. But what he said to me is, I will do this or I will go into communism. I will believe in communism because there are no other alternatives. Other than communism, what can we look to for social change? Other than communism, what we can look to make to change the system? So what we are doing is actually presenting this alternative or a better solution to what communism wants to do. So when we look at the communist uh, principle of changing the system, we can see from the presentation na pinresent ko kanina, it's actually not quite true because when we look at system and we still look at society, yes, we are affected by systems, but it's not the sole influencer for our being. It's not the sole influencer for us being man, because when we look at everything, there are a lot of factors that can affect us. Like more so the family. The family can affect us greatly, and with with the communist how to say with the communist system, they actually deny this fact. They only says that we are defined by our economic status. That's why we are bad. That's why we are evil. Now, what I can give to you for this answer is, I think you are looking for a principal an alternative to communism. Kasi I can see that you are, I believe in changing the system. I believe in social change, but I don't really believe in communism. So what we really give is an alternate system or alternate ideology to fight communism. So, what does your principle lies then, or is my patriotism cannot be justified? Yeah, you can call yourself a patriot. You can call yourself how to say a makabayang kabataan, but you have to find first your center, which is not communism, which is not an ideology, but first uh, a God-centered ideology, if I make sense. So to really answer the question in short terms, um, you cannot say that I like communism. I like the communist system, but I don't like fighting, because communism really advocates violence. Communism really advocates social change by the way of violence. But communists would also try to justify this. And I can see that you are really in conflict by this. So we try to give an alternative ideology or alternative solution. So I think that is the answer, in my opinion.
Thank you so much for giving your opinion and answer, Sir Jude Montefiore. May we have the ideas and perception of Dr. Kittel regarding for the question?
Thank you. I think Jude hit it on the head. Excuse me. The question was, if I believe in communism, but I condemn armed revolution, then you better study communism a little bit more, because you don't understand communism. Those statements are contradictory. If you believe in communism, then you must from a communist perspective, you must justify violent revolution. So you don't obviously understand communism well enough, and you can study it from its philosophy, or you can study it historically, and you should study both. Why has this ideology, massacred? Well, let's take an example, current example, the COVID pandemic. Why can't we go into China and find out what happened? People suspect it might have started in a lab. People say it might have been zoological change, but why can't we go and find out? Because that system isn't open. And there's efforts to try and, to control knowledge, to control people. Anything that might shame the system or shame the country, then they want to control it. What they've done with the Muslim population in China is horrible. Study what is happening. And this question you wouldn't even ask. I believe in communism, but I don't believe in violent revolution. It's a contradictory statement itself. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Kitel. Ayan.
Hello, Boyvin.
Ay, hello, sir. Okay, sir, proceed. If you have another, Dr. Tanate, am I right?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay, go on, sir.
Yeah, actually, I suspect that that question came out because some people cannot believe in religion anymore. They cannot believe in communism also. That's why they asked that kind of a question. Actually, for me personally, you don't have to be identified with a particular religion in order to be patriotic or in order to go against communism. Because as what Father Moon said, originally, there is no need for religion if only the first man and woman, Adam and Eve, did not fall. So the original ideal is that man should establish an ideal family, a God-centered family. And by loving each other, practicing true love between husband and wife, parents and children, then we can build a peaceful family. And then naturally, it can expand to build a peaceful society, a peaceful nation, and a peaceful world. So we don't need religion in that kind of particular situation. So we are now going back to that situation. Religions should work together in order to promote the ideals of the family. And once we have good families, so the purpose of religion is already fulfilled because we put God as the center of our family. We put love as the center of our family. So you don't, by practicing true love in the family, automatically you already actually believe in God because God is a parent. And once you respect your parents, you love your parents, they are representing God. So you actually practice a certain like loving God through your family. So you don't have to, because now, as you can see, there are so many problems with religions. If you identify yourself as a Christian, automatically some Muslim people can go against you. And if you identify yourself as a Muslim, you already have some kind of enemies. That is what they claim. So it's better, no need to have your particular religion so that you will not have automatic enemies. But that's why religious people at this time, we promote that we have to unite together and work together instead of fighting each other. And then if your religions unite together and then contribute to the establishment of beautiful families in the society, and then our nation can become peaceful and prosperous, then people can respect religions, and eventually religions can regain its moral authority. So at this point, I'm saying that we just focus on the 5 principles of peace. By living this way, we can really change this nation and we can really put God as the center of this nation once we practice these 5 principles of peace. Anyway, the details of these 5 principles of peace will be presented tomorrow. I hope you can really stay until tomorrow, my dear leaders of Region 7, so that you can learn more the practical aspect of practicing these principles of peace in the society, in the nation, and in the world. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tanate, Dr. Kitel, and Dr. And Sir Cedric Montefor for your perception and your additional inputs regarding po sa ating questions earlier given by our participants. And of course, I know that some of our speakers also would like to speak, but unfortunately, I'm really sorry, but we have still limited time. So I guess we still have a lot of time for tomorrow for question and answer portion. So at this moment, I will going to give again the microphone to our very energetic game master for the Ruleta ng Kapalaran, Mr. RJ Javier.
Ayan. So, thank you, Sir Boy Vin. It's me again. So right now, aalamin na natin kung sino ang mananalo sa ating game kanina. Yan, for sure, excited na tayong lahat, especially yung ating mga nasa ruleta. So, hintayin na natin ma-flash yung ating ruleta. Ayan. So, let's do this. Let's spin the ruleta. This is for number 4 na achievement word. Yung ating winner ay si Miss Sherry May de los Reyes. Ayan, congratulations Miss Sherry May. For our 5th winner, spin the ruleta. The winner is Miss Riza Joy Noble. Congratulations, Miss Riza Joy. And for the last winner, we have spin the ruleta. We have Miss Sheila Magbahos. Congratulations, Miss Sheila. Ayan. So, kompleto na ang ating mga winners. Again, congratulations sa ating mga winners both for the first and second set of our game for today. So, our secretariat will get your details and contact you on how you can claim your prize. So, this ends our game for today. Again, this is RJ Javier. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you so much, partner. Ayan, so in addition, everyone, please, to all the winners, please put your name and your cell phone number and your email number and your email on the comment box so that our secretariat will communicate you so para po makuha po ninyo ang inyong to give you more informations on how you can get your prizes. No, and for the others, do not worry because tomorrow we still have you still have the chance to win more prizes to be given by the IYSP and the National Youth Commission for this Regional Youth Forum winners. So at this moment, thank you so much, Sir RJ Javier. So moving on in this time, we will be listening to a presentation from our resource speaker of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, otherwise known as NTF-LCAC. So allow me to introduce our resource speaker. So Miss Edisel Rose P. Garcia. Miss Edisel Rose P. Garcia is the Chief Monitoring Brand of NTF-LCAC Secretariat. So everyone, let us all warmly welcome Ms. Edisel Rose P. Garcia, a virtual round of applause.
On behalf of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, I'm Edisel Garcia, and let me guide you through the EO70, otherwise known as the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. To better walk you through the presentation, I will present as follows. Starting with the creation of the EO70, let us revisit the executive order itself. By virtue of EO70, the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict was established, and by the same order, the whole of nation approach, which was highlighted in the Section 6, was enforced to be one of the guiding principles of the task force to end the insurgency in the country. To reiterate, all departments, government agencies or instrumentalities of the government, including GOCCs and SUCs, are hereby directed to render necessary support to the task force. Further, the private sector, non-government organizations, and other stakeholders are encouraged to participate in all peace-building programs, plans, and activities in the implementation of the framework. The said order was signed by the President on December 4, 2018, creating the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, a product of series of workshops. The finding is, despite the continuing successes of the operations by the security sector, we have not effectively overcome communist insurgency because of the lack of harmonization and synchronization of government plans and programs with civilian agencies. Further, it failed to encourage the participation of all sectors of society. To put more into the creation of this national task force, let us examine the characteristics of the CPP, NPA, NDF. From Oplan Katatagan during the term of President Marcos to Oplan Bayanihan of President Aquino, the group had been resilient and remained a force to reckon with despite their decreased armed strength. In the last 10 years, 2008 to 2018, their armed strength capabilities remained almost constant. We must note that aside from the armed strength as of year-end 2018, the CTG has the following capabilities as shown. So they have 3,713 fighters, 3,814 firearms, and 859 affected barangays nationwide. The CTG has established a strong mass base with 68 guerrilla fronts, 2,208 people's militia, and 28,812 organized masses. It must also be noted that the CTG party list groups garnered 3.4 million votes in 2016, infiltrated 423 government institutions, and extorted a total of 532 million pesos for 2018 alone from government projects and business establishments. This shows that the CTG's increasing capabilities due to increasing mass-based building through ideological, political, organizational works. Shown is the CPP, NPA, NDF framework based on their ends, ways, and means approach. For the means, the National Democratic Revolution, or NDR, is considered as the CTG's strategic political line, which is composed of the three inseparable components. So first is the CPP as the overall ideological and political organization of the entire revolutionary movement, and the NPA as the principal instrument on its armed struggle to achieve seizure of political power, and the NDF as the indispensable element of building the broadest alliance against the government at all levels, from international, national, and local. And as to the ways, the CPP, NPA, NDF undertakes the party building, army building, and the United Front building. So for the party building, it involves the setting up of party organizations or the organs of political power. The elements of the OPP are the following: the underground mass organizations or UGMO, the sangay ng partido sa lokalidad or SPL, the Militiang Bayan and Barrio Revolutionary Committee. Setting up party branches in the place of work, place of living, place of study, and sangay ng partido sa platoon in the NPA. And the setting up of party groups in the mass organizations. And for the army building, it involves the setting up of mass-based building, agrarian revolution, mass movement, militia ng bayan, and NPA platoons and companies as means for propaganda, communal production, cultural work, and combat and organizing. And for the United Front building, it involves the underground mass organizing or UGMOS, the legal mass movement in the different sectors, alliance building, international solidarity work, infiltration of the bureaucracy of the government, agencies, electoral struggle, red area and white area or the RAWA, complementary operations or interplay of base building, and the political movement and propaganda operations. As part of the ways are the CPP, NPAs, and NDF's 10 CTG programs through the echelon of alliances. And the end state of the National Democratic Revolution will be the weakening of the state and the seizure of political power. And on the eve of successes of the NDR, the socialist revolution will commence and which will lead to the dictatorship of the proletariat and cultural revolution. Let us now look into the 10 CTG major programs. So one of the major programs of the CTG is the mass-based building. Shown is the echelon of alliances to build the mass base out of the different sectors of society. The pursuit of the echelon of alliances is the objective of all mass-based activities, both in the red and white area. The second program is the CTG propaganda machinery, is led by the National Propaganda and Cultural Commission. The tasks of the NPCC are the propagation of Marxist, Leninist, and Mao Zedong teachings and communist ideology, establishment of the international, transnational, national grass cultural and propaganda machinery, maintenance of an online publishing unit for propaganda campaign in the conduct of IPO works in media, artists, and cultural sectors. Third program is the Revolutionaryong Buwis sa Kaaway na Uri, or the RBKU, is a main system of taxation against the enemy class. So the CTGs have evolved as the Philippines' biggest, most organized, highly systematic extortion machinery. This is aside from their entrenched international fund conduits using their web of NGOs. And as for the Revolutionaryong Buwis sa Kaaway na Uri, or RBKU standard collection rate, please refer to this table. And for the RBKU's extortion scheme, as shown. And now the Agrarian Revolution is the main program of the CTGs to advance the National Democratic Revolution. It is implemented in minimum forms such as elimination of usury, unfair sharing practices of 70/30, provision of rural cooperatives, and its maximum forms such as land occupation, land distribution, and farm production. And the CTG's special bureaucracy works in the infiltration of the government bureaucracy, using our own democratic processes and employing ideological, political, and organizational works in the public sector. And now for the international solidarity works, they have 5 tracks under the international department, and these are the IPO works among the OFWs through Migrante, International League of People's Struggle, or the ILPS, International Solidarity Mission, infiltration of the UN systems, and the availment of the peace process, with the following objectives as shown. And now for the CTGs weaponize the human rights framework in order to utilize it in the protracted People's War. Also, the CTGs have availed the peace process in the protraction of People's War and its campaign to gain status of belligerency. The peace process is part of the political struggle, which nonetheless remains subordinate to the armed struggle. And the 9th CTG program is the protracted People's War, which has the national and regional design of waging the revolutionary armed struggle to seize political power. And the 10th CTG program is the Broad United Front campaign for the House President movement, which is an example of combining all CTG programs into one operational framework. It puts into action the entire machinery of the CTGs to target the narrowest faction of the ruling elite. It also polarizes the different classes of society, isolating the government and laying down the foundation of the Democratic Coalition Government, or the DCG. In summary, these 10 CTG programs are the threats that the entire bureaucracy and the nation is facing. And we will address this through the NTF-LPAC. The whole of nation approach is the framework of the National Task Force for the attainment of inclusive and sustainable peace. This will provide a clear direction for the different stakeholders to harmonize and synchronize the delivery of services in conflict and affected vulnerable areas. The following are the mandates of the NTF, as shown. With that, shown are the National Plan LCAC goals. And the National Plan LCAC mission, a culture of peace and reconciliation is embraced, the rule of law is upheld, good governance is institutionalized in the government, and socio-economic development benefits vulnerable sectors of our society. And for the NTF-LCAC National Plan mission in addressing the communist terrorist group, the whole of nation team undertakes peace and development works in conflict, vulnerable and affected communities in order to end the local communist armed conflict by 2022. And the NTF-LCAC strategic framework is composed of 2 tracks. The first track is the political, economic, socio-cultural track that will address the primary issues and root causes of insurgency and the development of strong institutions. The other track is the peace, engagement, law enforcement in military track that will entice the rebels to surrender, delegitimize the insurgents, and conduct sustained military operations. And these two tracks shall be undertaken through the implementation of the whole of the 12 lines of efforts or the 12 cluster under the National Task Force and are mutually reinforcing the whole of nation approach and good governance. As a result of these efforts, we expect an influx of surrenders, dismantling CTG alliances, CTG support structure cease to function, and leaders and cadres get isolated. And the terminal option that the government will offer a genuine political settlement and policing, which will lead to the defeat of armed group, peace and security ensured, and development undertakings attained. So taken another way, this matrix illustrates that the mission of this full of nation team is anchored in the Ambition 2040 and the National Security Vision and the National Security End State. The mission is to end the local communist armed conflict, and every effort that we undertake must reduce communist terrorist capability and prevent recruitment. To achieve this, the whole of nation team will launch 6 major campaigns, namely the localized peace engagement, security operations, and 4 campaigns to address the root cause of discontent. The 12 functional lines of effort shall support the 6 major campaigns. And in managing and guiding the task force, the following composition and structure is upheld. With the President as the chairman, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the NSA Secretary Hermogenes Esperon as the Vice Chairman, and the NCIP Executive Director Secretary Allen A. Capuyan as the Executive Director of the Secretariat, and the members of the government agencies in the private sector. Further into the structure, shown is the NTF-LCAC organizational structure with the President as the NTF Chairman and Commander. The Regional Task Force, LCAC, is an offshoot of the merging of the RPOC and RDC down to the barangay level. The established 17 JRTFs are headed by the Cabinet Officers for Regional Development and Security, or CORDS. With these structural designs, we now inculcate the 12 lines of effort in the architectural mission. As such, these 12 lines of effort will confront the 10 CTG programs. And pursuant to the National Plan LCAC, the 12 clusters, the embodiment of the lines of efforts were created with the following identified agencies and initial member agencies as shown. This points out the unsatiable need to adopt and engage more and more stakeholders in the form of agencies and the other institutions that concerns the CTG efforts. So the task force ultimately end the insurgency that pesters our community and our countrymen. And these clusters are headed by the following cluster heads. The evaluating and appreciating our efforts are indicators of implementation and immersion. Let me show you the task force accomplishment. Under the national clusters, the local government empowerment cluster, or the LGE, has been organizing our local task forces, reaching 100% regional-wise and 93% for our provinces and city municipalities, and 66% down in the barangay. And its continued efforts to establish the mandate of the NTF-LCAC, it has since been able to acquire the persona non grata declarations in the following local government units, and reinforcing the CSP, the RCSP targeting 1,394 barangays has so far achieved the following completions per phase. So phase 0, 99.28% completed. Phase 1, 99.35% completed. And phase 2, shown. And for the phase 3, and for the phase 4, and for the phase 5 of the RCSP implementation, as we strive to champion these efforts among many others, saturating our information environment with our IO materials, the Strategic Communications Cluster, or the STRATCOM, has been engaging the mass with various social media platforms. So to date, the YouTube channel of the NTF-LCAC, garnering 717 subscribers, garnered a total of 1,132 views and 109.7 watch time hours and 755 unique viewers from this month alone, peaking at the start of April. In Facebook, the task force page has picked 813 followers with a surge of 229 followers within the month, reaching 310,000 accounts and accounting to 35,454 video views and 25,000 plus page views and 119,000 post engagement. Hand in hand with the information saturation, the situational awareness and management cluster designs and develops and implements a comprehensive national education awareness campaign, purposely for deeper understanding of the threat situation. As such, they have conducted orientation for government executives of the various government agencies nationwide as shown. The cluster has also shared up-to-date data and information with the various cluster member agencies to deepen their understanding on the CTG threats and to devise measures to counter the CTG's strategies, programs, and plans. Ensuring the availability and provision of basic services. For the fiscal year, the basic services cluster has built 361 last-mile schools for public elementary and junior high school students, as shown. Yeah. So the cluster also built a housing project for our indigenous peoples on their communities. That with the sitio electrification programs at 89% completion by 2020, all in targeting 16 sitios in 2021, totaling to 34.3 million pesos in programs and projects. And for the international engagement cluster, the IA cluster has conducted online awareness campaign for the members of the diplomatic corps. They have also conducted the Understanding the CTG Deception webinar for our OFW leaders, and they provided the physical copies of the Wars Within book. But the major accomplishment of the cluster for this year would be on the field of human rights via the Philippines Foreign Missions Abroad. Last October, the UN Human Rights Council adopted a resolution that encourages technical assistance on human rights matters to the government. As the cluster keeps up with its mandate to provide timely legal assistance and support, the Legal Cooperation Cluster undertook regional consultation with members of the various RTF LCC from August-October 2020. And a total of 1,613 CTG cases are being pursued in the various regions, and 922 cases were classified as active cases among others. Of this, there have been 15 counts of murder in relation to the Inupakan massacre and a perjury case against RMP Karapatan and Gabriela, with the freezing of accounts and assets of the RMP by the AMLC, and a prescription case against the CPP, NPA, NDF. And on November, the QC trial court convicted the Chamson couple for the case of kidnapping, serious illegal detention case, and for the 1988 kidnapping of 4 soldiers in Mauban, Quezon. Now, as we cater poverty reduction, livelihood and employment cluster, or the PARLEC, is now being able to serve 265 barangays. Out of these barangays, here are the current stages of its BDP implementation, all pointing towards the PRLD successes in the provision of goods and services that uplift the quality of living of our countrymen. So in support to this, the Project iCare Integrated Community Assistance in Rural Enterprise was launched. This project produced a concrete solar dryer for the barangay, wherein the training production was participated by 21 IPs and 4 FRs. Also, the cluster has implemented the Panegosyo sa Bagong Bayan and Tubig Kalikasan para sa Barangay or Tukaba in priority barangay. Further into the cluster's training and accomplishment, here is a tabulated representation of the uniformed personnel trained in the NTF barangays by enrollment, graduation, assessment, and certification. Further, the IRM cluster, the efforts to rationalize the utilization of our natural resources, the infrastructure and resource management cluster has taken 5,093 projects, programs, and activities, scaling from road projects, school buildings, activities, and control projects, multi-purpose buildings, bridges, national greening projects, to waterworks and irrigations, trainings and electrical systems, and 2024 more PPAs. With the cluster's infrastructure development, 4,481 projects have been completed to date, so accounting to 79.89% of its targets, aiding 3,233 barangays, 79,572 households and 34,739 individual beneficiaries. Another from the IRM, the cluster has completed 612 projects, making up to 90.77% of the targets and ultimately benefiting 2,783 barangays, 674 households, 700,779 individual beneficiaries. So we also have 3,117 agrarian reform beneficiaries. Holding up with the grassroots intervention of the task force, the local peace engagement cluster is now developing its LPE indicative work plan for the year in progress. This in support to the mainstreaming of LPE while implementing the peace-building approaches to LCAC, which is divided in stage into 3 phases. Phase 1 for orientations, Phase 2 for crafting of strategic action plans, and the Phase 3 as the former giving way for its actual implementation. And now moving on to the AAP cluster, the ECLIP and Amnesty Program, as the cluster aims to provide the former rebels with financial and livelihood assistance to help them in their re-immersion to the mainstream of our society. And here are the total financial assistances and surrenders today. Here now, the aids as provided by the DILG under the cluster. And from the agency, the updates on the construction of halfway houses, the National Housing Authority supporting our former rebels under the cluster. The Cooperative Development Authority also helped the former rebel. And for the DSWD programs and amelioration programs, as well as the DOLES projects with TUPAD and its integrated livelihood program. And also the Department of Trade and Industry providing starter kits and among others, AIDS Atesta with their training and development programs. The Department of Agrarian Reform assisting through farm implements, inputs, and livelihood, and the Department of Health with medical assistance. And the Land Bank of the Philippines providing the helping with loans and the use of their business portal. And moving on to the sectoral unification, capacity building, and mobilization cluster, as they play an important role in nation building to include people-centered, community, human rights programs and advocacies of the government, making the vulnerable sectors resilient against the communist terrorists, operations and infiltration. So the cluster has been facilitating various sectoral focus group discussions, triggering the dialogues on challenges and issues that are then particularly and specifically addressed through the conduct of focus group discussions. So this has sparked way into the conduct of the Regional Conference Peace and Development Forum starting from Pangasinan last 27 April. In the fulfillment of the Phase 1 SONA campaign plan of the cluster. On neutralizations for the period in review, 77 CTG key leaders were neutralized out of the 2,165 total neutralizations, recovering 1,795 of their firearms. This under the efforts of the Peace, Law, Enforcement, and Development Support Cluster, or PLEDS. And notably, just this February, 19 indigenous people's children were rescued in Cebu City. Now delving into the clearing of guerrilla fronts, to date, 16 have already been dismantled, with 6 being regional guerrilla units, leaving 54 remaining, inclusive of 5 weakened. And now for the Barangay Development Program updates. Just last 8 February 2021, the NTF published the national newspaper in Manila Bulletin, the final list of 822 barangays qualified for the BDP program for the calendar year 2021. So the funds had been made available by the DBM, and the pending completion of the requirements and the launching of the project shall be on the first quarter of this year. So as a background of the BDP was launched to address the root causes of insurgency and other conflicts by prioritizing and harmonizing the delivery of basic services and social packages by the government, and at the same time facilitate societal inclusivity and ensure active participation of the different sectors of the society in the pursuit of the sustainable peace and prosperity. In fulfillment thereof, the government has focused on socio-economic programs for the advancement of rural development that resolve issues commonly exploited by the CPP and PA. So this include anti-illegal drugs and criminality, anti-corruption, intensified land reform, free irrigation, free tertiary education, And for state colleges and universities, universal healthcare and improved for peace. To further sustain the momentum against the CTGs, the full implementation of these programs need to be pursued, primarily to deny the CTGs their former and remaining strongholds. And secondly, to bring about much awaited economic pump priming in conflict affected areas. These programs also aim to address social injustice, enhance agricultural production, and serves as the final stroke in winning the hearts and the minds of the masses. Exhaustive studies have shown that a number of Philippine communities have remained underdeveloped due to the undermining presence of the CPP, NPA, and the F. So as a solution to this impediment, the President had manifested his prioritization of the rural projects through the Barangay Development Program. So on January 6, 2020, during the cabinet meeting, the President Duterte approved the NTF LCAC Barangay Development Program. So the BDP is envisioned to bring in development to conflict-prone communities. So it consists mainly of programs, activities, and projects under the retold Community Support Program or the RCSP, which is a convergence mechanism of local governments, particularly at barangay level, for their identification of issues and needed government interventions. To implement the program, the government has allocated funds amounting to 16.44 billion pesos for BDP 2021, prioritizing those barangays cleared for the period of 2016 to 2019. So shown are the 5 major programs and projects to be implemented in the cleared barangays, namely farm to market road, school building, water and sanitation system, rural electrification, and health stations. As shown are the additional programs, activities, and projects to qualify under the BDP. Shown is the breakdown of the total cost of project under the BDP. So here is the update on the release of the LGSF SBDP calendar year 2021 with budget with SARO and NCA release. So now here is the summary of cleared barangays in 2020 for the BDP calendar year 2022. So for the ways ahead, the National Task Force is currently monitoring both programs for better monitoring and evaluation. The NTF developed a GIS-aided system indicating locations, start dates, and completion, fund source, and current status of the programs. So you can view that at the NTF ERCA website. The NTF is also continuously liaising with the LGUs and other line agencies for the convergent and coordinated implementation of the projects, and for the program to succeed, additional resources from other departments is necessary. This include but not limited to teachers for the newly constructed school buildings, medical personnel for the health stations, and engineering equipment and technical assistance from regional, provincial, municipal, and city offices. In order to demonstrate the civilian component of the BDP, private and public sector partnerships are being strengthened to benefit these identified vulnerable communities. Joint programs in renewable solar energy, internet connectivity, forest protection, and other livelihood projects are examples of the partnerships between the private and the public sector in fulfillment of the BDP program. So before I end, let me indulge you with the wisdom of David Galula from the Counterinsurgency Warfare Theory and Practice. So allow me to read. A victory is that plus the permanent isolation of the insurgent from the population, isolation not enforced upon the population, but maintained by and with the population. So that ends my presentation. Let us all be vessels of change. Maraming salamat.
Ayan, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Garcia, for enlightening us about the strategies and tactics of communist recruitment in our country, which victimized numbers young people in our country. It is indeed a great help that through this forum, we could raise awareness to our dear youth and student leaders joining with us today. So also for sharing to us the whole nation approach of NTF LCAC emphasizing the ambition 2040 ending communism in our country. So hopefully maging successful tayo sa part nito kasi since this 2021 we are still doing our best no to end the communism in our country. So I believe that everyone really plays a significant role in ending communism in our country. Everyone's deserve a better nation. Everyone's deserve a better world for us, and also for the better future of our future families. Ayan. So thank you so much again. So we are now at the end at the end of our day one uh, sessions. No, so at this moment we will going to give you a 4 minutes answering our day one evaluation survey again. No, again. So to all of you, please answer the evaluation survey from registration day one and day two so that you can get your e-certificates. No, so your 4 minutes starts now. So while you are answering our evaluation survey, our panelist will promote you, or I mean, our co-host and host will promote you to panelist so that you can open your camera, your microphone for our photo opportunity later. And of course, please also check your email addresses. No, your email addresses para po doon sa yes, Hazeline, our secretariat, please post our evaluation for the day one. Yan, at this moment then, according to our committee, please pa-accept po ang invitation namin to promote to panelists, no, para ma-open po ninyo ang inyong mga microphones and also camera. This is your chance and this is the right time for you to show your beautiful faces, your beautiful smiles, your handsome faces, your hunks faces. No? Ayan, so Sir RJ Javier had already posted the evaluation form at the chat box. No, so while you are answering all our evaluation forms, we will going to transfer you to panelists so that you can open your cameras. So please accept for yung invitation. So ayan, so me personally I learned a lot from the session since this is my second time by as your moderator. I learned a lot no kasi I also did my best to listen to every sessions kasi it is really important for us to know how to contradict the ideology of communism, no, to fight the communism, to fight the communist here in our country. Ayan, so since we are the youth of our nation, we have also to prepare for our future. Remember, tayo din po ang mga makikinabang din and of course to our future family, to our future children, to our children's children. Heal the world. Sure. Anyways, see you again tomorrow at exactly 1 p.m. Our webinar will open at exactly 12:30 in the afternoon, and our webinar for the second day will start at exactly 1 p.m. So, but by the way, our secretary will also send to your emails, to your cell phone numbers, our link for tomorrow. Actually, we are going to use the same link pa rin. Ayan. So, ayan, according to Miss Gal, please accept the invitation for para ma-transfer po namin kayo into panelist. No? Ayan. So, we still have 49 seconds to answer your evaluation forms. Ayan. And again, please be careful, no? Kasi please take care kasi nagso-start na po yung rainy season. So medyo mag-ingat po tayo, and of course we should also follow the protocols of the COVID-19. Ayan. Of course to be aware of the COVID-19 virus, and of course, please get your vaccination. Get your doses na. Ayan, para matapos na po ang ating face mask and face shields. Ayan, the 4 minutes is already done. And of course, sa mga hindi po makasagot, our secretariat will also post the link at the Facebook Live. So please continue by tapping the link, and para madiretso po kayo doon sa ating Facebook private page, para sa mga, kung may mga nakalimutan po kayo, pwede pa ninyong balikan. So this ends our day 1 Regional Youth Forum, and thank you so much for listening, and see you again tomorrow. So at this moment, let us open our camera for the photo opportunity. Ayan, you can also speak na. You can have your microphone on so that makapag-usap-usap na kayo, makipagkamustahan.
Hi po! Ayan!
Hello!
Hello po!
Hello!
Hi, sir!
Hi! Hi! Hello everyone! Ayan, nakikita ko na kayo. Napakaganda at napakagagwapo nyo. So I guess, meron pa bang natitira sa ating mga participants?
Hello, everybody!
Hello everybody! Ayan.
Thank you po, thank you.
Hello po.
Hello, we still have 35 attendees left.
Keep safe always po. God bless.
God bless you.
Good afternoon po.
Hello. Okay guys, hanggang bukas pa to hanggang bukas pa. So please, same link pa rin po tayo.
Magandang hapon.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all speakers.
Thank you po.
Our nation.
Bye po.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you po. Thank you very much.
Yes,
See you
last day po
tomorrow.
bukas.
Thank you po.
Bye-bye. Tama na. Nag-leave na sila. Wala man.
Ayan, so I guess we are all ready na. Main tech, okay na po ba tayo? Can we have the picture na? Can we have fake pictures?
Yes pa, yes pa.
Okay, so to our first let us smile. Smile po tayo. Ayan, medyo madami kaya ang ating mga ngiti ay hawakan lang po natin. Huwag po nating bitawan. Kagaya po ng pagbitaw sa inyo ng mga jowa po ninyo.
Sana all binitawan.
Sana nga meron. Char!
Sana all may jowa.
Sana all binitawan.
Sana all may jowa.
Okay, smile lang po tayo. Oo. Yan, pag-usapang jowa, napaka-active. Oo.
Next.
Smile lang. Ayan. Ilaban po ninyo yung ilaban po ninyo yung smile po ninyo kagaya ng paglaban po ninyo din sa mahal nyo.
Kayang ipaglaban.
Totoo, sana kayang paglaban. Okay, last pose. Peace sign.
Evaluation nun.
Evaluation po tayo.
Ako rin nakasagot na ako.
Yes, please. Yes, please. The evaluation form is very important. It's essential po. Yes. Peace. Ayan, next.
Kira.
Ayan, so sana po ay wag niyo pong gayahin ang inyong mga exes na hindi na po kayo binalikan, na hanggang ngayon umaasa pa kayo, at sana po ay bumalik po kayo bukas. No? So kami po ay aasa na kayo po ay babalik bukas.
Yes. Huwag niyo asahin yung mga ex na pinaasa kayo, kaya babalik kayo bukas
Yes.
online.
Oo.
Yes po, babalik
Masakit
po.
ang paasahin.
Bye, sir.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you again by tomorrow.
Thank you
God
po.
bless us all.
Thank you and goodbye po.
Daghang salamat po.
Daghang salamat.
Matamang salamat.
Matamang salamat. Tambligan tanan.
Matamang salamat.
Thank you po ang iba.
Thank you po sa nag-join sa Facebook.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Thank you. Ingat po kayo. God bless.
Please be updated po sa mga post po namin sa ating private group. Ayan. Also, share your hashtag RYF40. All your pictures. Ayan, thank you so much everyone. God bless us all.
Hola. Hola, Dora.
Hello po, I guess tayo na lang po nandito so we can have our post-evaluation.
Yes po, thank you so much, Sir Boyvin, and thank
Thank
you
you.
for everyone for doing a great job this day one of our Regional Youth Forum. So, in behalf of Sir Angel Kainday, I will be hosting this evaluation meeting right after. So, mabilis lang naman po. Thank you.